From nouns to verbs, adjectives to adverbs, understanding different parts of speech is essential for effective writing, speaking, and communication. Whether you are a student looking to improve your grades, or a writer seeking to enhance your craft, or simply a language lover like me wanting to expand your knowledge, this video is just for you. So let's dive in and discover the power of words. In this video, we will cover the verbs and their types with suitable examples. But before we jump to the topic, I request you all to please subscribe to my channel if you are here for the first time. In this video, we will be learning what are the types of verbs and what the verb actually means. Does it mean to do something physically, as we have been taught? Talking about myself, when I was in school, I was taught that verb means a doing action. So they taught us the right thing, but we as kids would take it as it means to do something with your hands, with your feet. So to do something physically is a verb, but growing up I came to know that it is much more than that. So in this video, I'll be talking to you about what a verb is and what are its different types. So let's begin then. But before moving ahead, let me remind you to please subscribe to my channel and suggest me some topics that I can talk about in near future. So as I said, verb means doing action, something that we do. But the verb can indicate anything we do, whether we do it physically or mentally. Verbs can indicate physical actions or mental actions, occurrences, and states of being. It is not just what you do with your hands, it is about your brain, your mind, more than that of the physical ones. For example, if I talk over the physical aspect of the verb, I'll be giving you an example. I ride a bicycle. So I'm riding it with my feet and with the help of my legs. So this one is a physical aspect. I am doing something using my body. Another example, I was thinking of my friend. So thinking, if some other person watches us, you won't be able to say that I'm doing something, because thinking is something that is beyond physicality, that one cannot perceive, that some other person cannot see what I am thinking or what is going on in my mind. Another one, humanity still exists. We are not doing it physically, not mentally, but this still is a verb. Exist is a verb, because this is the state of being. Something occurs which is already there. So exist, it is also a verb. It is to be noted that for every sentence to be meaningful or to make a sense, the presence of verb in it is a must. A sentence must at least have one verb. In fact, a sentence can consist of a single verb only, without a subject, without any object. There is a subject which is hidden, which we cannot see, but there is a subject. So in writing it or in saying it, the sentence can consist of a verb only. For example, if I say run, so run itself is just a verb and it makes a sentence. Run matlab daudo. I'm saying in Urdu just to make you all guys understand. Run matlab daudo. So it makes sense. We are asking other person to run, to do an act. But what is hidden here is a subject which is you. You run, aap daudo. So agar hum bolenge aap daudo, that also makes sense. But agar hum bolenge daudo, wo bhi sense karta hai. So what I mean to say is that a verb can make a sentence itself without the help of a subject or an object, and such sentences are called as imperative sentences, in which there is no visible subject. So subject is there but it is hidden. Such sentences are called imperative sentences. So with this example, you come to a result that you can hide a subject in a sentence, but you cannot hide a verb. So to make a sentence meaningful, the verb must be there. To have a verb is very necessary. Now moving ahead, verbs can change their forms. Verbs can change their forms depending upon the subject it is following, or the tenses, the mood, and many other aspects. For example, if we talk about the subject, how subject affects the verb and its form, there are 6 subject forms in English language, which are, first one is I matlab first person. I means first person, and we means we is also first person but plural form of first person. So I is first person singular and we is first person plural. Then we have you matlab you second person singular, and when we make you a plural, it again is you. So you is a singular, you is a plural. So you is second person singular and again you is second person plural. Then we have third persons which are not in front of us. First and second person are always face to face, but third persons are not in front of us. Third persons are those who we are talking about. For example, he, she, it. These are third person singulars. Singular. He मतलब एक बंदा है, she एक ही है, it एक ही है. So singulars, third person but singular, not in front of us but they are singular. Then we have third person plural. Some third person we are talking about but it is not one, they are more than one. So we say they were talking, वो बात कर रहे थे, they are not in front of us. So this subject is called as third person plural. So we have first person singular, second person singular, third person singular. Then we have first person plural, second person plural and third person plural. These are the 6 forms of subjects in English. And how these affect the forms of verb, I'll be telling you. There must be an agreement between the subject and the verb. What does this agreement mean? Agreement means if the subject is singular, the verb must be singular. And again, if the subject is plural, the verb needs to be plural. This cannot be, one cannot be singular and other plural. If subject is singular, you cannot put the verb which is plural. Now, how to identify if the verb is singular or plural? Like in case of nouns, in case of subjects, we add s or es to the base to make it plural. But in case of verbs, we have some different rules. The rule is totally opposite to that of subjects or nouns. In case of verbs, if we add s to the verb at the end, it becomes singular, which is totally opposite to that of nouns. In case of nouns, if we add s or es, it becomes plural. But if we add s or es to a verb, it becomes singular. So when we have singular subject, we need to add a singular verb. For example, she thinks a lot. She thinks. She is a singular. Thinks is a singular. As I said earlier, think is plural. But if we add s to it, it becomes plural. If I say she think a lot, considering that think is singular and she is singular, this will be wrong because think is the plural form of this verb. So she thinks a lot, or they read a lot. They are plural. They matlab more than one. They read a lot. Read is again plural form. If I add s to it, this will become singular. So they read a lot. This is the right sentence. If I say they reads a lot, this will become wrong. I hope you get it. What subject verb agreement means. If subject is singular, verb must be singular. If subject is plural, verb must be plural. Now subject में s या es ऐड करने से subject और noun जो है वो plural बन जाता है, but verb में s हटाने से या es हटाने से वो plural बन जाता है. I hope it is clear. Now verbs can also be affected by other things also, which I said, like tenses, like mood and other things, but we'll be discussing that in some other video. In this video, let us focus on our main topic, that is types of verbs. So verbs can be of different types depending upon their form, their mode of action, their nature, etc. Now let's come to the first one, or which is the most common form of the verbs, that is regular verbs. Regular verbs. These verbs, that is the regular verbs, these follow the standard conjugation rule. What does this mean? What does standard conjugation rule mean? It means if we want to convert the regular verbs into their second form or the third form, or in grammatical terms we may say past or past participle forms, we need to add d or ed to them. For example, if we have some verb like finish is a verb. If we are to convert it into its second or third form, we will add an ed to it at the end. So its second form becomes finished or third form becomes finished. So such verbs जिनको हम ed लगाने से या d लगाने से at the end या end में d या ed लगाने से इनको हम second या third form में convert कर सकते हैं, ऐसे verbs को हम regular verbs बोलते हैं. और ऐसे numerous verbs हैं, जैसे कि मैंने पहले ही बोला, इंग्लिश में सबसे ज़्यादा regular verbs ही है. आप मुझे comments में और ज़्यादा examples बोलिए regular verbs की. I'm sure you know a lot of them. नाउ कुछ वर्ब्स ऐसे हैं रेगुलर वर्ब्स जिनको डी लगाने से, जिनको एंड में डी लगाने से सेकंड या थर्ड फॉर्म बन जाती है, बट सम आर सच जिनको लास्ट में ई डी लगाने से सेकंड और थर्ड फॉर्म बनती है. फॉर एग्जांपल वी हैव अ वर्ब रिलीज सिंस इट हैज़ अ ई ऑलरेडी इन इट एट द एंड, वी नीड टू ऐड डी ओनली. सो लास्ट पे डी ऐड करेंगे तो इसका थर्ड फॉर्म और सेकंड फॉर्म बन जाएगा. बट देयर आर वर्ड्स लाइक आई सेड फिनिश, इसको हम ईडी ऐड करेंगे बिकॉज इसके एंड में ई नहीं है, सो इसको ईडी लगाने से ये सेकेंड और थर्ड फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा। तो ऐसे वर्ब्स जिनको हम लास्ट पे ई डी या डी लगाते हैं थर्ड फॉर्म और सेकेंड फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, ऐसे वर्ब्स को हम बोलते हैं रेगुलर वर्ब्स। नाउ इसका ऑपोजिट इरेगुलर वर्ब्स। सो आई एम श्योर आप ये खुद भी बोल सकते हैं आप इरेगुलर वर्ब्स कौन से होते हैं, जो किसी स्टैंडर्ड रूल को फॉलो नहीं करते हैं सेकेंड या थर्ड फॉर्म में आने के लिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल गिव, गिव इज अ वर्ब, सो what is the second form of give? It is gave. Its third form is given. So this does not follow any rule. So when there are rules different for the verbs to get converted into second or third form, those verbs are called irregular verbs. Another one, for example, run. Run is a verb, dodna. Its second form is ran, and again third form is run. We have another one, put. Put. Its first form, second form, third. All the forms are put. So these verbs which do not follow any strict rules to get converted into second and third form, these verbs are called irregular verbs. Now we have action verbs. Action verbs, as the name suggests, these are the verbs that suggest the actions that are performed with our bodies or some other objects. For example, to run, to hit the ball. So hitting is again a action verb. Or to kick someone, or to slap someone, jump, to clean something. All these things which involve the physical aspect of our body or are performed on some other object, such verbs are called action verbs. Again, action verbs can involve the mental actions also. For example, to think, memorize, remember, understand, to dream. For example, I understand your videos very well. I was dreaming of my brother last night. So such actions that we do with our brain, with our mind, or physically, such verbs are called action verbs. Now we have transitive verbs, transitive and intransitive. These are again totally opposite to each other. So first let me talk about transitive verbs. Transitive verbs are those verbs which need a direct object in a sentence to make sense. The object in case of transitive verbs, it can be a noun, a pronoun, or a noun phrase to which the subject has done something or the subject has acted upon. For example, I ate a pizza. Ate is a verb and pizza here is an object. So if I say I ate, this won't make any sense. So those verbs which necessarily need an object to make a sentence, to make a meaningful sentence, those verbs are called transitive verbs. Another example, she makes a nice cake. So make is a verb and cake is an object. If I say she makes, would this make any sense? No, right? So such verbs which need an object to make a sense, such verbs are called transitive verbs. Some more examples, I hate broccoli or I love reading. So such verbs which do not make any sense without having an object added to them, such verbs are called as transitive verbs. And in opposite of this, there are intransitive verbs, those verbs which can make sense even if there is no object in a sentence. For example, birds fly. Birds fly no matter what. So you can't change this fact. This does not need any object. Birds fly at night, birds fly in the day, birds fly every time. They can fly anytime. So this here, fly is an intransitive verb. Again, animals also sleep. So animals also sleep. There is nothing to doubt about it. So sleep here is an intransitive verb. Another one, water flows. Water flows. This is a universal fact. Water flows. So this does not need an object. So such verbs which do not need an object to make sense, to make meaning, such verbs are called as intransitive verbs. Now there are linking verbs. Linking verbs are those verbs which connect the subject of a sentence to its complement or to its other part, or which we call as predicate. The linking verbs link the two parts of a sentence. The first part, that is subject, and its another part, that is its complement. For example, I am very happy. I am very happy. If we say I very happy, this won't make any sense. So to connect I, that is subject, and happy, that is its complement, to put a helping verb is very necessary. So am here is a helping verb. I am very happy. He had a heart attack. So he heart attack. If we write it like this, or if we say it like this won't make any sense. So had here acts as a linking verb. Linking verb. It links he with the heart attack. It links subject with the complement. So these verbs which link the two parts of a sentence are called linking verbs. And remember, these linking verbs, usually these do not have the present participle form, that is ing form. Rarely some linking verb can convert into the ing form or present participle form. Otherwise, these verbs do not have their present participle form. For example, am does not have any ing form, or was does not have any ing form. Some more examples of linking verbs are feel, seem, remain, belong. For example, I feel tired. The sky appears blue. Sky appears cloudy. So these verbs are called appear, feel, seem. These are called linking verbs. Now let me tell you a fun fact. How do you recognize that a verb in a particular sentence is a linking verb? Because there are numerous, countless verbs. How can you identify that the verb is a linking verb? Let me tell you a trick for this. Take a sentence. Now you remember that every sentence has a verb. You just have to identify the verb. Now what do you have to do? You have to replace that verb with any member of B family. You know B family, right? B family consists of is, are, was, were, be, been, being. So these all helping verbs are from B family. So take one helping verb from these, from B family, and replace it with that verb. For example, if I say here, I feel exhausted. So here feel is a verb. If you want to identify whether feel is a helping verb or linking verb or what verb it is, replace this feel with am. For example, I am exhausted. And notice, if this sentence still makes sense, if this sentence still gives the same meaning as it was giving earlier, then this verb, that is feel, is a linking verb. So this is a trick. अगर आपको इंग्लिश में समझ नहीं आया तो मैं फिर से बताती हूँ. अगर आपको जानना है कि किसी सेंटेंस में जो वर्ब है वो लिंकिंग वर्ब है या नहीं, तो आप कैसे समझेंगे, आप कैसे पहचान पाएंगे? आप एक काम करिए, बी फैमिली में जो होता है एम होता है, वाज, इज, आर, बीन, बीइंग, एंड आप इनमें से एक हेल्पिंग वर्ब उठाइए और इस वर्ब को रिप्लेस कीजिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन दिस सेंटेंस द वर्ब इज फील, तो फील को आप रिप्लेस कीजिए इनमें से एक के साथ. तो अब आपको पता है आई के साथ एम ही लगता है, आई के साथ इज तो नहीं लगेगा ना. तो आप लिखिए आई एम एग्जॉस्टेड. इफ़ यू थिंक दिस मेक सेंस, अगर आपको लगता है कि इसका मतलब चेंज नहीं हुआ, इसका मतलब फिर भी वही है, इसका मतलब निकलता है, सही मतलब निकलता है, तो इट मीन्स दैट फील इज अ लिंकिंग वर्ब. आई होप आपको समझ आ रहा है. सो वर्ब्स लाइक रिमेन, सीम, लुक, feel, sound, taste, smell, these all are linking verbs. This cake smells good. That pizza tastes good. This music sounds good. These all are linking verbs. Now we have stative verbs. Stative verbs are those verbs which describe the state of being of something, existence of something, or perception, or our state of mind, what we think of other persons, how we perceive other things. These all things are described by the stative verbs. Stative verbs refer to mental or emotional state. For example, believe, dislike. For example, I believe God is one, or I don't like him. So such words like, dislike, these are stative verbs. It can show physical state of something. It can show qualities of someone. It can show possession of something. It can describe thoughts and opinions. For example, I have a car. Have here means possession. I have a car. That car is mine. I have that car. This weighs almost 2 kg. इसका वजन almost 2 kg. So weigh here is a stative noun. It shows its state, its weight. So weight is again a form of state. I agree or I disagree with you. This again is a perception. This is a state of mind. Agree or disagree is up to your mind. It is not something physical you are doing. I do not agree with hands or with feet. So something that you do with your mind, these are called stative verbs. Another example, I appreciate your efforts. So appreciate, you are not doing something physically to appreciate someone. You're just appreciating with your words, through your mind. So such words are called as state of mind, which define your state of mind, what you're thinking, what you're perceiving, how you're seeing other things or the world around you. Then we have modal verbs. आप इसको अक्सर modals बोलते हैं, but remember this is not modals, these are modals. So modal verbs जो है, these describe the permission, the ability, the necessity, the obligations. I'll be giving you an example. For example, I can do this. I can मतलब मैं कर सकता हूँ. So this shows an ability. So I will do this. मैं ये करूँगा. This shows an intention. So intention also is related to modal verbs. Or I need to do this. So this is a necessity. May I come in? So may, it is used for permission. And you must do this. So must is a obligation. Must is an obligation. So all these verbs which show obligation, permission, capability, ability of something to do, these are called modal verbs. Then we have phrasal verbs. phrasal verbs. So as the name suggests, again, phrase consists of more than one word. So phrasal verbs are combination of words that function as a verb. For example, to put on your clothes, put on. So kapde laga lo. So this acts as a verb. For example, if I say wear your clothes, wear is a verb, but put on gives the same meaning. So put on here acts as a verb. So such words which in combination act as verbs, such verbs are called as phrasal verbs. For example, get out of here. So get out is a phrasal verb. Take off your shoes. Take off is a phrasal verb. Pick up the phone. Pick up is a phrasal verb. So phrases that act as verbs are called phrasal verbs. So these were the types of verbs. I hope you learned something from this video. There might be other types also, but I have listed here the important ones. If you anyway find this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you so much.